Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave Valente, or the Madam Secretary of the Libertarian National Committee, Pinky McWano. How y'all doing? Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive this evening. We are talking about tonight. We're talking about death. We're on the cusp of Halloween. We're also on the cusp of El Dia de los Muertes. Muertos. I'm sorry. My Spanish is not always that great. Uh, and it's a good discussion to have. Kind of our personal feelings about what death is and what lies beyond, or if anything lies beyond. And so that is what we're going to do. And let me bring on my co-hosts, AJ. How you doing, AJ?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are
You
you?
are looking ravishing, my darling.
Thank you very much. You
Love your
you as
costume.
well, Madam Secretary. Um, you did rock it. Now I wore one of those. Do you know what it's actually called?
What is the what? Which
The
is what?
actual
Uh,
headpiece you were wearing.
Is it? I mean, I always thought of it as like a tiara,
It is a diadem.
a diadem.
A diadem. Yes. I was like, what
Okay,
the hell am I wearing all the time? Like it's got to have a name. And so I looked it up, and that's what it is.
nice. Our
Yeah.
other participant this evening is the man, the myth, the legend, Dan Fishman.
Oh my God, my thing isn't on. Hang on. There we go.
Uh,
Shine bright like a diadem. Shine bright like a diadem. What's up, guys?
It's amazing.
not much, man. That is a nice outfit. Let me get
Well,
myself
I,
in
I
here.
got
I
to
like
show
the
everything too.
background. Everything about you is just
Oh,
that's
you, I, I don't know if we can
I
show
do
that.
not last long in this costume. It is like a fur coat.
Well, this wig is really hot too. I'm wearing earmuffs here or something.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I brought a second costume. I figured I want to let people see it. I'll go like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. That's my limit, and then I'm going to go into the second costume.
There you go.
oh, you you
A
have costume
wardrobe
changes.
change. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
A, a
Costume changes.
wardrobe.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
wardrobe change.
Exactly. I'm going to do it on camera too.
Oh no.
Woohoo. Well, I brought this fan for a reason, didn't I?
It is getting hot in here. All right, y'all. So this week I wanted to talk about the the concept of death. So we're right here at Halloween. We're up. I got hair in my mouth. We're right here at Halloween. We're at the Dia de los Muertos. Got to get that right someday. How's it going, Craig? Good to see you. Yes, I am. Um, but I think a lot of people are scared to talk about this. One, I think people are reticent to talk. We were always taught as kids that you don't talk about religion or politics, and of course, death does delve into that kind of quasi religious area. And but I think it's good to talk about it because I don't know. I've for the last few months I've been following this woman on TikTok who does her name is Julie the hospice nurse, and she talks about the stage of dying. Somebody's in a hospice, they're about to die. Ah!
Sorry, I couldn't take it anymore. Costume change.
Too sexy. Take it off. Oh, oh, that is a fine man pelt you're showing there, Dan.
You have made my life complete, and I love you so.
Oh my
Love me
goodness,
tender,
Amazing.
that
love
is
me true.
amazing.
All my dreams fulfill. All right,
All
sorry,
right,
keep going. Let's talk about death because I've come back to talk about that.
From
so
the
let's talk about your final minutes on the shitter, man. um, no, but talking about it, I think removes some of the. I think for a lot of people, it removes the fear, removes the almost taboo situation around death, and I I think I'll just jump it off for each of you. What do you think happens when we die?
I, for the longest time, thought nothing. But as I have reached that stage where I recognize the fact that there are fewer days ahead than behind, it seems to me incomprehensible that this would all be for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just it doesn't make sense. If you think about our existence and the sentience and our ability to ponder. On the other hand, why don't we know anything? For sure, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in communications from beyond the grave, any of that stuff. And I don't really believe a lot in an organized religion. Uh, but that doesn't preclude the idea of an existence that is post this. That's sort of my basic. That's what I believe.
What about you, AJ?
I'm with you that there's something after this, but I wasn't so convinced until I was a mom and I saw like these human beings like develop into. I watched them become human beings. They went from something that was very dependent into these independent young men that I have in my house now. That don't actually need me for a whole lot of things, but when they do, they feel comfortable to come around. I just can't believe that growth is for nothing, like you said. Like I watched this happen. Um, I also have this weird thing where if I'm under anesthesia, like I don't know if I'm dreaming of people that have passed on or if there's more to it than that, as some friends have said. And yeah, I don't know. But I get visits from them, and that's nice. If nothing else, it's pleasant. I haven't had a bad experience yet. So let's
Yeah.
see.
It's interesting because when I've been under anesthesia, I call it time traveling. Like I'm out and then up, and then there's nothing. I don't remember anything. There was no dreaming. It's just down, up, and the next thing I know, they're telling me to breathe, and that's pretty
Yeah.
much it for any surgery that I've ever had. But one of the things I don't know what it is, but one of the things that hospice nurse Julie would talk about is um, the idea that in the final moments, the final days when somebody's actively dying, that they almost to a person have the same experience, which is they see someone that has passed before them that is there, and it's not a frightening thing, it's more of a comforting thing, like they're there to guide them to whatever the next plane of existence is. Um, for me, I'm like you. I'm not overly religious at all. Where I come at this from is more of a scientific um, look at it. In that, um, thinking about we are all beings of energy. Like the human body is just basically an energy plant. It's an energy can't be created nor destroyed. Um, and at the moment of our death, our energy is transferred somewhere, whether it becomes part of the great consciousness, whether, we're just freed from the three-dimensional world that we live in and can go zipping across the universe or into whatever multiverse we're thinking of, or if we go to another universe, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing for me. But I don't think that there is no logic to the moment that we die everything goes away, that there was nothing there.
I agree with that, but part of the thing I think about is like how incredibly awkward will the afterlife be if everybody you've ever known is there and they all want to spend time with you, right?
Well,
Because like we have obligations and we have people who, we have left behind physically or emotionally, whatever is the answer to that. And so, what is I have trouble dealing with like what would that afterlife be like? It would be awesome to see my mom again. That would be amazing. Uh, and I'd like to have a little chat with my grandparents, but I don't see spending a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
It just that's the way it goes. AJ.
You're not. I've thought about this all day because I knew we were going to have to, because we have to tread in that territory. Because if you go there, like if everyone you've ever known, if this is your idea of heaven, who do you want to spend that time with? Well, that not everybody's going to agree that they all want the same people in heaven
Yeah.
because we have beef with each other. I mean, there are people that have done terrible things that you don't want to see in your afterlife. So
Yeah.
it begs the question, how much of you retains that memory of your life in the afterlife?
Yeah.
Because it's the only way that it would work. Because I'm not a big thing of the judgment thing. Like what you did in your life, I kind of think that stops. You can't like continually be punished for that. I don't see that there being a point in that.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I had the Baptist preacher as a grandfather. I grew up, going to church, and it wasn't always stable. It was sporadic, but I have moved very beyond that because the world is more complex than that. So, and no, I'm with you. Like, who do you want to spend your time with? Who would be like your top five? Who do you want to see in your heaven? Like, who's the band? You know?
Um, well, I mean, like for me, like if it is like that, I don't really think per se it's going to be like a heaven. I mean, I look at the universe and I think of that as a heaven to me. That is a place I want to go when I'm no longer tied to this earth. I want to go zipping around the universe. That's my dream. But if we're talking about who you want to see, of course, my parents, um, my uh, my grandpa, both my grandpa and my grandma. I never knew my dad's mom. She passed away in the 50s. But maybe meeting her and getting to know her, if that's at all possible, I don't know. I mean, for me, I don't think that I just don't think that heaven may be like that. I think, or the great beyond may be like that, or is a heaven. It's just a next stage, a next stage of development when you think about it.
Yeah.
We
I
could
like
be
that.
going from 3D to 4D. We'd be going from a body of matter to a body of no matter.
There's an interesting idea that you talk about the fourth dimensional thing, and there's this idea that if you talk about multiple dimensional things, you can only observe the number of things that are one dimension less than you. So we can observe, three-dimensional stuff. We live inside the fourth dimension of time. However, we can't comprehend what a fifth dimension would be. We don't know what it is. And I think that there is something to that in the same way that, what is an afterlife? What would it be? I don't think we can truly appreciate what it would be. I think that part of it would be exploration and stuff like that. But then there's also the idea that, what would have to happen for there to be an afterlife where you were conscious and aware of your previous existence and you didn't want to tell people things, right? That you didn't want to watch over them or something like that. And so I think it's incomprehensible. Here are the things that I know though in my gut. I don't believe that you have to guess right in terms of which divinity is divine. I don't believe that there's a creator that is so vindictive that because you didn't believe in transubstantiation, you don't get to go into the afterlife. Or even worse, you go to the bad afterlife. So I think, post physical existence goes on. I don't think it's run by a set of divine rules per se. I have, maybe like you say, there's this energy about us that, then gets captured and we have to serve alien overlords who use the energy of dead human beings to fund their battery packs, whatever.
Yeah.
But it just seems like there's something that prevents contact before and after. And I'm not a resurrection guy either, or reincarnation. I don't, even though I do like the idea of karma. I believe that karma happens only in the universe, in your time span. I don't believe that your karma affects the species, the creature that you get resurrected as. For
Mhm.
those people who run that Hindu path, I mean, you believe that, it's totally cool. I don't have a problem with it, but that's not for me. In fact, I don't think I know of any organized religion that encompasses what I think the afterlife is, because all the other organized religions imply that you have to be a member of their religion to get to the afterlife. And it's one of a lot of friends who are Christians, and if we get into a religious conversation, I will talk about deeds versus faith, which is the big concept in Christianity. If you're just a textual Christian, you think that deeds alone are not. You can be the nicest person in the world, but if you did not have faith that Jesus came back to absolve you of your sins, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to get part of that wrong, but that's the text. But I know a lot of Christians who live a different life, who say they believe that everybody who's good is doing the right thing, and that nobody knows how people get judged to make it to the afterlife.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think I'm with you. I won't say that there isn't a supreme being I just don't know. I don't take the atheist path where a lot of the atheists where they're very sure that there is no God and there's nothing beyond beyond your life, that type of stuff. My thought is that we don't know what's beyond the universe, so how can we say for sure that there is no we could be the cell in an incomprehensibly large being, and to us that would be a god when you think about it. Not in the sense of they get to decide whether you go to heaven or hell. Not that I even think that there is a concept of a hell that people go to. I think that's just a carrot and stick to
Yeah,
tell you to how
I
you
mean,
live your
Control
life.
you become a Detroit Lions fan. We get that.
Exactly. Steve's had some interesting comments. So, Steve, you've hallucinated being up 38 hours. That's an interesting one.
I do. Having taken a few psychotropics here or there, I do think that I saw a post somewhere that said the world can be divided into two parts: those who have taken mushrooms and those who haven't. And I do think that there is something to that. The mind expansion consciousness, and I think that you could potentially achieve that without psychotropics as well. But that was certainly where my revelation came, and I think that if we if we had some sort of uh, ability for other people to experience that sort of mind expansion, we'd have a much more peaceful planet to live upon.
I
And
love
then,
I'm
that.
getting
go ahead, AJ.
I was just saying, I love the idea of being able to actually expand the minds of others, and
Yeah,
it'd
that's
be a
where I would.
peaceful resolution,
Yep, that's definitely where I would like to go,
dear gods.
uh,
Cool.
with an iteration of peace, whatever it is. But
that's Dave. I know Dave from work. That's, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. If you ever saw, this is not a high holy canon of anything, but the movie Men in Black, the universe was in the belt of the cat Orion, so it was on the collar of
yep,
Orion. This is, infinitely big and infinitely small. Yeah, absolutely. I don't. disagree with that. We still don't understand the to a great extent, the subatomic level of our own bodies. So it could be, just massive universes that we're not even understanding. So,
Yep.
um,
And the other thing is that the idea that somebody knows, I think, is also just crazy to me, because the critical part of the human experience. So you talked about the fact that at the end of life, a lot of people see somebody who they think is bringing them over to the other side. One of the things that is well documented is this idea of terminal lucidity, and you can look up that phrase, find it online, but it often happens when a person is close to their deathbed. And I want to talk about this just a little bit, for people who haven't been through it. Um, Being with somebody while they die is it's a heartrending experience, especially
mhm,
if it's somebody you love with. And I think I talked about this a little bit about being with my mom for her last. Really, I was blessed to be with her for the last 6 weeks, but the last 72 hours were pretty tough.
yeah,
Um, there was, a point at which, we took her upstairs for what we knew was the last time, put her in her bed. My dad was sleeping in the same room with her, uh, just to sort of be with her and monitor uh, that stuff. There was a point at which, she was, I don't want to say non compos mentis, but we had to help her with, you know, her body and
yeah,
functions. And, you have to do that for a person that you love. And then she moved into what people refer to as the active dying stage, as opposed to passive dying. Passive dying, your body's getting worse and worse. And then active dying, your body is done and it's going to stop. And there's nothing, no force on earth can change that. And that was, just horrific.
yeah,
Uh, as the body relaxes, the vocal cords relax, and every breath sounds like it's a moan. It's like painful. Uh, uh. That's terrible. That's sometimes referred to as a death rattle. And so we did, like 12 hours of that. We got the hospice nurse to come in. Um, and but at one point in time, there was a point where my mom sat up and she had that terminal lucidity for like 45 seconds. And, she said some very sweet things to my father. And she was completely coherent. And, there was time for just a very quick conversation. And so I know that is a thing. That terminal lucidity is a thing where your
mhm,
body essentially gives up on everything else and your brain says, okay, let's just focus on the brain and do what we can for ourselves there. And then that's gone too. But then I do think that there is a point at which, your mind is active, but you can't do anything. The imagination, right? The voice that we hear inside our head when we talk to ourselves. And that that sentience that is us, is also, by nature of being human, a master of pattern recognition, of trying to make sense out of the senseless. And there's so much about the human experience that, we try to understand things. We try to recognize patterns. We try to make things make sense. And so if you're in this situation where your body is shut down and you can't really comprehend everything, but that wonderful gift in the back of your head that is you is saying, well, what's going on? Let's try to make sense of what's happening here. I think that's where the reports of what people say, I see a light, or I have a future, something like that. uh it's a very nice note, Dave. I
yeah.
appreciate it. um And it is anyway. I think I kind of said my end. You know, we as human beings who are alive, we are driven by a brain that is evolutionarily, biologically predisposed to match patterns, to make sense out of things. And so here we are stuck with this brain that's trying to make sense out of something that may well be senseless. And so I don't know.
Sure, sure. Um, yeah, I've the that death rattle, things that go on in the body as you are actively dying. Um, One of the things that the hospice nurse would talk about is that there's this urge to, make them comfortable, but to give them things like water and food. And her thing is, if they're not asking for it, don't give it to them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the body is tuned. It's one of the processes of life is that we're going to die, and that it knows how to die.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
And
and it is well established that the end of the life, certain things that happen are uh, anesthetics, are they relieve your pain. So a lot of those things, you know, are you're being spared pain by your waste system shutting down,
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of gone over this, but what is your I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but what do you think there is? If there is there a great beyond, or is there just a disorganized mess, or is there some kind of rhyme or rhythm to it? Is the what also what do you think that the fear of death is irrational?
I think that's the most logical thing to be scared of because nobody actually has the answer. You can look up damn near everything. We all have the internet in our hands all the time. We can look up anything. Death, nobody actually knows. It was just like you have said this entire time. Nobody actually knows. We have these theories. I don't think there's this big punishment thing. There's not a good versus evil thing. I think maybe we just don't carry the memories. Maybe we do carry the love because that's what separates us from everything else, right? Maybe we carry the love. We just don't carry the bad memories of, the asshole that, killed your family or whatever. Maybe you don't keep that stuff.
Or maybe we're like protons and neutrons. We're positive and negative out there in the ether, and we still exist as that. Whether we lived a positive life or a negative life, that maybe that is kind of a programmed into whatever energy we have.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Uh, any other thoughts on death and dying?
Um, the only thing that I can say that as I've worked a few hospice cases, not very many because it's not for everyone. But I
Yeah,
worked a few
yeah.
hospice cases. Um, the only thing I can ever remember them regretting was not, the car that they drove or any of that. It was, I wish I had seen so and so more. I wish I'd spent more time with people that they love. So maybe that's what's important.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, and I certainly get to there's there are certainly moments in my life, and I think I've talked about this before on the show as well, where I had no kids. Um, I am, just a shooter playing out a streak at this point. And there are times that I think about, you know, the worry of life, the burden of all of those things. And, I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, but to get rid of that worry, to stop having the frets of daily life, that would be a relief. But I don't think I could comfortably go until I felt like my earthly obligations were done. And there's a funny, it's always good to bring a little humor into things like this. There's a great thing in Hannah and Her Sisters where Woody Allen talks about committing suicide. And he says, of course, the problem is that, you upset, you upset so many other people when you do something like that. And he said, so, my parents would be devastated. So I'd have to kill them first. It would be a bloodbath.
Jesus. Oh, Woody Allen's a strange one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fear the idea of death. I do fear the leaving of people behind. And to your point, AJ, I I know from the people that have passed on before me, they didn't talk about the cars that they had or the house that they had or the TV or anything like that. It was talking about the lot, maybe a vacation, but that was just because they were experiencing it with someone else. But it's that time with other people. And that's the thing that I think as I go on to the next level, whatever that is, that's going to be the one that the piece that holds me back because I don't, uh, you know, maybe it's the people pleaser in me. I don't want to disappoint people, but you know, we all live with a terminal disease called life, and that's
Yeah.
what we're going to end up having to. Everyone's going to have to do it, and I don't fear it, but I know that there are people and experiences that I want to have before I go.
Yeah. I like,
Absolutely.
sometimes, when they talk about Tom Brady and, his fight against time, and they say,
Yeah,
Tom Brady's doing his best, but Father Time is undefeated.
this is true.
Mm.
That is true. All right, Dan, it's time that we do this because we didn't do it at the beginning of the show, but uh, you're better at doing this than I am. Talk to people about my YouTube channel.
Here's the thing. We put out this content. We've had a serious conversation. Uh, we talk about liberty and freedom and issues. And when we're doing things like that, we're doing it for ourselves, but we're sharing a message. We talked about this shared human community that we're part of. The YouTube channel is part of that, having a
Yeah.
communication where we are able to honestly talk about things like that, like sex chat 69 dots. That's just fantastic. We
Yes.
find hot girls here. That's what I'm talking about. The sharing of that sort of thing. That's a YouTube person too. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Um,
Hey, six chat 69. Give me a subscribe, bro. I let you
exactly.
do free
Right.
right there.
Exactly. You want us to share your message, buddy? Subscribe.
Subscribe.
And the thing is, you guys supporting the channel by subscribing, by clicking the bell. Those are all data points that go to YouTube. And then YouTube's going to suggest to other people, hey, maybe you should watch this right now. I should I don't know if you can share my screen or not. I don't want to do it right now, but we'll do it next time. If you were to go to my YouTube homepage, and I consume a lot of YouTube, but YouTube is always suggesting things to me that I might like to watch. And it
Yeah.
does that based on I watched this and I liked it and I gave it a thumbs up. If you watch this video and you give it a thumbs up on YouTube, other people who, video you've watched and give a thumbs up are going to get recommended to see our show. So please, down there, like this video, subscribe, and then click the bell. Those three things tell YouTube, hey, this is a serious broadcast, as opposed to sexchat69.site, who find my hot girls here. Dude, why do I want to find your hot girls? Right? I mean, I want to find.
My question is, how hot are they? Because
Exactly.
they can't be hotter than me because I'm roasting right now.
I
This
want
is
I want
hot.
you, dude. You take it off. I gave up on the mask. I couldn't wear it anymore.
Uh,
Plus,
I'm dedicated to my craft.
wearing the Harambe suit over the Elvis suit is
Elvis
just
suit.
killing me.
Oh, I
So
bet.
I kind of want to borrow the Elvis suit.
Okay, I'll bring it down.
Like, I really think I want to wear it.
Well, it's cool. See, so it comes. I mean, it's got the studs everywhere, and then there's a belt But it is a onesie. No, and I broke the zipper, but I can fix that with a safety.
So that might actually work out for everybody.
I think we just got banned on. I think we just got banned on LinkedIn.
You got banned on LinkedIn for me showing the
Showing the
too much
man
chest
pelt.
hair. That's funny.
Or the comments.
What's funny
I'm just
about it
all the
is,
same.
yes, Dave, you can't see I'm wearing this wonderful. This is my hunka burning love suit.
I think he's blinded by the chest hair, man.
Well, what's funny about it is it looks like I have more chest hair now than it did when I was young. Because when I was young, it was just all a dark mass, and now that it's graying up a little bit, like it
Fantastic.
has more definition. Anyway, ooh,
Yay, good job. Good job advertising and getting folks.
yep.
Yeah, so I tried this new thing. I didn't even realize I had this functionality on Restream that can the people at home see the chat overlay? Because that's awesome. That means that's one less thing I have to do. So,
Oh yeah,
but
that would be awesome. Well, and then because I mean
Yay.
that's the other thing about it is we want to get to the point where like we can start doing super chats. That is pretty sweet.
yeah,
Because if we can do that, you guys can tell us things we want to talk about, and we will respond to. Actually, the chat is over on the right hand side too. So even if you didn't, but this is the multidimensional chat. The YouTube chat I see is going on right now too, so that's very interesting.
Dave sees it.
nice, excellent.
Yeah, no,
All
I'm
right,
on YouTube.
So many Daves in the world.
cool. It's a good name. I'm just gonna
It's a
say
good
it.
name.
Yeah,
Very popular.
that's right. Let's see. So our brilliant co-host AJ is doing a passion project right now that I wanted to talk about because it's fascinating to me. If you've been paying attention, especially if you have kids or in school and you're paying attention to your school board votes and all that stuff, this has become a hot topic over the last few years. And it's the idea of banning certain books, whether for certain content. So AJ's been reading. How many books a week are you getting through?
It slowed down quite a bit because I'm having trouble finding them for just a moment. No, I started with a Reader's Digest article that had 23 books you should read in 2022 and opened it up because I'm in Tennessee. Tennessee is a little famous for crazy religious folks like Greg Locke, who wants to ban books. And there was just in Murray County, there was another whole section of books that was banned, and the library director actually resigned over it. So anyway, I've gotten about halfway through the list so far. This list, it's things that everybody's read. Like I'm posting these books, and everybody's like, "Well, I read that in high school," or whatnot. Can we scroll down through it? Because it's going to be books like ever. Dan, you were like, I have these on my bookshelf. You know, a couple of teachers have sent me books.
And I didn't mean to be dismissive of that. I grew up in a very academic household.
No. I thought it was amazing that you had all that. Dude, I love your brain. You know this. Like I say it every episode, it's known. Um, so this is my dedication to all of the smart people. Here's the deal: as I live in small Warren County, Tennessee, it is a matter of time before this comes up. And then in our last election, we had folks talking about, oh, well, we've got porn in our schools. I'll be honest, reading these books, I have yet to find the porn. Um,
Yeah,
Genderqueer. No, notice the titles and
yep,
notice the commonalities. If it's gay and not white, that seems to be a target. Wild, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, you're looking at this list, and it's quite clear there is a focus on why these books are being banned and uh, why they're being targeted. Um, oh, nice, that's awesome.
uh,
Um,
Dave, you're officially a super fan.
Dave's the man. Dave is the man. Um, but so to me, like especially with these books, these are And I understand that parents want to control what their kids look at. I get that. But you can't really control who your child is. And a lot of these books deal with the human experience and telling kids, what your experience is normal. It's a normal human function, and whether it's
Well,
love of same sex, or whether it is whether you're asexual, it doesn't matter. I just it's a human experience, and teaching kids that there are others like them out there makes it less likely that they're gonna do
Yep.
harm to themselves because they feel like they're alone out there.
Can you control plus on
Oh,
the list
here
a little bit so people can see it better?
yeah.
let's see if I can do that.
Um,
Here's the top
also,
10, which I
go
haven't
ahead.
gotten through yet. Most of these books, it's like you said, the human experience. I am a white
There
girl
it is.
from Tennessee. I am a straight white girl from Tennessee. So I am never going to be able to experience the world as a man, as a black man, as a Mexican woman, as any of these books. Several of them are about immigrants as well. It's very telling what they don't want you to read. And that's what got me. If they're telling me I shouldn't read it, if they're telling me my kids shouldn't read it, maybe I should read it and see what the fuss is about.
Yep.
Because then when it comes up in my county, I can go to these board meetings and be like, "No, I read the book. Did you take that out of context? Did you read that one paragraph and that's what you're basing the entire book on? Because we're not supposed to do that."
Yeah. There's
So,
the other thing that's interesting about it too is that I have yet to see anybody ban a book because of violence, right? It's always about sex or gender or something like that. I will occasionally see a book banned for, people have been trying to ban Huckleberry Finn because it has the N word in it. I think it's a misguided attempt. But, and I think about the fact that, what am I concerned about that people are doing the most in society? It's violence. It's committing violence towards each other. We're going to talk about an incredibly violent act that happened a few days ago later on in the show. Um, you know, George Carlin does a good routine about this where he says, a lot of people say that they'd rather have their children watch a movie of two people making love than two people trying to kill each other. And I think it's a good idea, but I think that we should take it a step further. I want to go back and edit out a lot of old Westerns. Every time they say the word kill, I'm going to replace it with the word fuck. So it says, all right, we're going to fuck you now, Sheriff, but we're going to fuck you slow.
Well, it was funny. I want to say probably about 15 years ago, right when Grand Theft Auto, one of the new Theft Auto games came out.
Yep.
There was this Easter egg that if you put in a certain code, it would show fully
Pixelated.
clothed, fully clothed simulated sex scenes. It wasn't that great,
Yep.
but this woman sued Rockstar Games because they had put that in there, and that her young child had found that. And I'm thinking, you objected to a simulated sex scene between somebody who had actually, you have to build up a relationship enough to get to this point. Uh, so you objected to that, but there's a place in that game that I can break into a police station, go into a jail cell, pick up a massive pink
Exactly.
dildo, and beat a police officer to death with it. And you didn't have a problem with that,
Yep.
but you had a problem with the simulated sex scene. Um,
It's exactly right. And people who play San Andreas know that it is possible to find certain spots where you can sit there and just kill police officers
yeah,
all day, right?
well,
Nobody's
the
complaining about
books
that.
the books that they have challenged, that Hate You Give, that one, for example, um, a young black man is killed by the police. Now, if you are shielding them from that, do they get to watch the news? Because that's on the news a lot.
yep.
Like, you're sheltering your kids from reality. At least with this book, which I have read, they you get to see it from a different side. You're not seeing it poisoned by whichever news station is reporting it, because they're all, they're on their side, and their side is going to twist things.
Yeah.
This would give you the experience. And what's great is, like, you scroll down in this article and there's books on there. Excuse me, that was unprofessional. There's books on there such as Of Mice and Men and The Call of the Wild.
Yeah.
Now, why wouldn't they want you to read those? You know, why
Yep.
wouldn't they want people to think? Because that's what the books cause. To Kill a Mockingbird, why wouldn't they want you to read that book? For most of us, that was required reading.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So,
Now, you
go ahead.
you had we had talked about your books, and a lot of them were banned over sex, but really the sex in those books was more rape, inappropriate touching, things like that, which really aren't sex; those are assaults. And to me, not teaching children that, hey, this incident that happened in this book is not okay. It does not give them the tools that they would need to be able to say, hey, what my neighbor may be doing to me or my dad may be doing to me
Mhm.
is not okay. That they're not getting that lesson.
Now,
And that
Well,
shielding your child is actually hurting
let,
your child.
but let me just play a little devil's advocate here. Okay, there probably are parents out there who would say, I agree with you. I want all of these things taught to my children, but not by the public schools. Libertarian dilemma.
well, it's not just your public school. It's also my kid's public school. And I have a suggestion for those parents, because I've thought this out.
Mm,
Because I'm probably one of the only female libertarians in my county, former libertarian, excuse me.
yep.
Um, Parents that are complaining, the schools are understaffed. We all know that. So if you have a problem with the books that are in the library, that's fine. You can march your ass up there, help them go through those books. And then what you need to do is you need to have a banned book section. And you need to send home permission slips to every kid, like you do for every freaking thing else that they do all day long,
Yep.
and make us sign whether or not they can get books from that banned book section. Now, first of all, this is going to backfire, because
Yep.
what happens when you tell a kid, don't do this?
They're going to do
They're going
that.
to want to read those books even worse.
Yeah.
So you're going to inspire people to read. Oh no, what will we do? That's my solution to that argument right there. Well, it's a public school. It's not just your public school, it's
Yeah.
everybody's public school.
Dear God, get these kids into reading. That's that would be
Okay,
wonderful.
here's the deal. My son goes to the library all the time. He goes to the school libraries. If there was porn, I really feel like the teenage boy would have found it. Also, he doesn't get in trouble for the books he reads. That's not the bad
Yeah.
influence. The bad influence is YouTube.
I
So
will say, I will say, as an experienced library goer, there is porn in the library.
there's definitely porn in the library.
Yeah.
The books that are on this list, okay, I'll give you a
Danielle
good one.
Steele.
Out
Yes.
of Darkness, Ashley Hope Perez. That book, they threw a fit about this book. Now, this was written by a teacher, first of all, of teenagers, surrounding a historical event, right? It's
Yep.
also involving an interracial couple. Now, in this book, there is, like Dave said, she is a victim of inappropriate touching as a child. Now, if the only people that know that you're being touched are you and the person that's touching you, they've told you that it's okay to be touched that way.
Right.
They've told you this entire time that this is just a secret because you're extra special. And
Yep.
you don't realize it's a weird thing until you see yourself in a book like this. And you're
Yep.
like, oh, wait, it's not,
Yep.
it's not right.
Yep.
And then you save yourself. You tell someone. Now, I know that we don't want things to happen to our kids, but this is the same reason that we teach them the proper names for their genitalia. They touch my vagina has a whole lot more, you know,
Yep.
I don't know, grabbing power, rather than they touch my hoo-ha. Your what? My hoo-ha. What's your hoo-ha? Really?
Yep.
No. You teach them the proper words so that if something happens, God forbid something happens, they
Right.
can tell someone what happened to them. Not all parents care about that,
Yeah.
and not all parents are the good guys. So maybe we shouldn't block everyone from being able to see themselves in a book, whether we like that they're representing a sex assault victim or not. Now, also in that book, there's good sex. Well, I mean, it's between teenagers, but sorry, they're having sex, y'all. Hate to
Yep.
bust your bubble, but it's showing the difference between abuse and healthy, like,
Yep.
sex. It's a huge difference. What they read from it was an excerpt that meant nothing.
Yeah. I
It's
think about. Go ahead, Dave.
it's interesting because when I was a kid, there was a book that I was getting into my awkward preteen years. But well, I've always been awkward, so whatever year it was. But Judy Blume's "Then Again, Maybe I Won't."
See, I was going to say Judy Blume's Forever. Same
Yeah,
thing.
Judy Blume is a wonderful author
Y-
who does dive a little bit into the idea of sexuality as a young adult or young child, really. Um, but in such a way that it tells you that what you're experiencing in your life right now is normal. Don't freak out.
Yeah. I would say Forever isn't like. There's no question about it. It's full fledged, and the girl decides to have sex and talks about the physical nature of the act, and then the repercussions of it. Now, what's interesting is, I hadn't thought about it before, but man, why aren't they trying to ban romance novels? Because those things are insanely sexual, and quite frankly, unrealistic as well. Having read a few of them, and so I think that Barbara Cartwright and Jackie Collins and
Danielle
Danielle
Steele.
Steele. Yeah,
Yes,
we got to get
too.
all of them out of the
Yes.
library.
I will be honest, I don't really get it. Everything that I have read so far, yes, it's gonna require some conversations with my kids if they read it. It really is. Um, but I mean, that's kind of what the fuck I'm doing, I'm being a parent. And I know it's not easy. I know we've all got like 9,000 things going on. But if a book sparks a conversation about sexual assault in your teenager, maybe you should have that conversation. Like, I know that that's part of it is everybody's so scared and everybody's got to shelter their kids from everything. If we shelter them from everything, when something happens, they will not know what to do. So, yeah,
Yeah.
have the tough conversations. This book right here, this book is absolutely amazing. I It
Can you
goes
blow up
through
big
his
screen there,
childhood.
Dave?
All boys
Hold on.
aren't blue. Can you see it?
Let me stop
Hang on.
sharing.
No,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
All
All
right.
boys aren't blue. What's it about?
I bet you can guess.
It's
A
Oh,
about the
gay
Jen.
fact.
black boy growing up
Huh.
and what it's like to grow up in a family that supports you. What because it's a unique story because most LGBTQ people can tell you they did not have this. They did not grow up with a grandmother that immediately accepted them. They could see what is normal and what is not based just in this book. And it's not I think what's everybody's tripping balls about. I read this book and I am not gay. Even after reading this book, I didn't catch the gay, y'all. I just learned a little bit more about a different life experience. I, maybe it'll make me a better person. Who the fuck knows? But what's the scariest part in this? That it's going to turn you gay? No, probably not. If it awakens something in you and you're like, oh, maybe it's getting them. They're getting to know each other better. And I know the scariest thing is having a gay kid. I'm aware it happens and it's going to happen. The difference is going to be how you react to it. Sorry, I don't mean to get off on parenting, but this pisses me off because it's moms. It's moms of liberty, my ass, going after these books. Moms of liberty. I just feel insulted.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to say that. Chase Oliver called me a liberty mom, and I beamed with pride for like 3 months. Like you don't get to tarnish that too. And no, they're going after all the books, y'all.
All
I'm
of them.
sorry, all the books, y'all.
No, it's fair. Fair.
No,
Uh,
and it's I've seen people talk about this, but get you're afraid of that one book. A kid reading that one book when they've been exposed to hundreds of books with straight characters. Yeah, their phones or whatever, but hundreds of books with straight characters, and if they're gay, doesn't switch them back. Like
Right.
your
And
logic doesn't make any sense here.
and the
Mm-mm.
other thing about it is too is like, you think
Mm.
about the availability of real porn. Okay. I mean, I don't need to name any of the sites that are our sponsors,
No, you
but
shouldn't.
but you know, it doesn't take a lot of search to find,
Mm.
free sites with pretty much everything you can imagine on there. And so kids are definitely finding that stuff. And if you're not having a conversation about that, that can be incredibly confusing too, right? I mean, if kids grow up and they think that what they see in a porn film is how most people have sex, yeah, that's again unrealistic
Absolutely.
expectations.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I like it. The problem that I have with my kids is never what books they're reading. It's
Right,
never what hobbies they've taken up. It's what they've what smut they may come across on the internet. And
right.
even like the negative YouTube videos, it's like, if you absorb enough of it, guess what? You're going to be kind of a dick, like you're going to act badly. It's just people are focusing on the wrong things because this is something that they can turn an election on. And in
Yeah.
Tennessee, they're falling for it. My family members are falling for it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm trying, and yeah, like anybody that buys and donates a book, I'm donating it to the local library because I want other people to read it. Yes, I'm going to read it first. Sorry, but then I'm going to donate it so that everyone else can read it as well. Um, because why shouldn't we?
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and
don't know. I'm
that's
just waiting for it to come up.
no, and that's I mean, I'm glad that you're doing this, and I'm glad that you're passing it on and paying it to the local library so that those books are there.
And you had asked me to get you a list, so I'll send that to you right now,
Yeah.
what I need left.
All right.
We should
Sounds good.
post it on the page, on the Facebook page, and
Yeah.
put it in the YouTube comments.
Yep. Um,
Mm.
so um, who's ready for the quiz?
I'm ready.
Oh, cool.
Are you ready for the quiz?
I want to scroll my background image up though. Just so Calvin says to Hobbes, Hobbes, what do you think happens to us when we die? And he says, I think we play saxophone for all girls cabaret in New Orleans. So you believe in heaven? Call it what you will.
Exactly. That would not be a bad life. Or death.
I always think of that thing in Tangled Up in Blue. He goes, where you it talks about going down to Delacroix. And anyway, sorry. Little Bob Dylan quote. Let's do the
All
quiz.
right. Let us do the quiz. I have to hide the chat though for
Yeah,
the-
no, it's too big. I agree.
All right, the CNN News quiz for October 27th, 2022. Picture clues we can see. I believe that's a Diwali picture. Kid getting medical.
Yep.
Wind farm.
Yep. But I just want to say, look at that wind farm. Wait, go back. Oh, we can't.
Yeah,
When we go through the wind farm, the second one from the left, you'll notice it's facing the other way. So that picture is clearly photoshopped. See what I mean?
Oh,
Not the one on the far left, but the next. I did
Yeah.
not see it's photoshopped. I don't know what's going on.
All
I
right.
just thought I'd mention that. All right, here we go.
All right, question number 1. Which virus is spreading at unusually high levels and overwhelming children's hospitals in the U.S.? Chickenpox, RSV, mumps, or COVID?
RSV.
It is RSV. Are you
It
seeing
is
cases,
RSV.
AJ?
I'm seeing cases, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we had
Well, some of them go into like cardiology and stuff too, so it's a balance. But yeah, there's a lot of respiratory crap going on right now.
Yeah, I heard about a high school in California had like 1,000 students out, had to shut down.
Happened in
Um,
Virginia as well.
yeah.
We had an elementary school that was closed for sickness. But I mean, we have multiple
Oh,
elementary
he's
schools.
right. Craig is right. The quiz cannot be seen on YouTube right now.
What?
No.
I'm watching it on YouTube, and yeah, no quiz.
Let me see if I can shift the screen. Can it be seen now? Oh, is it too small?
No, it's not even showing up at all. So I don't know if you are sharing it, broadcasting it, whatever. Oh, wait, now it's there. All right. Yeah, because
See,
I'm on a
that's
5-second delay. So it's the horizontal shows and the vertical does not.
YouTube. What are you
Do
doing
you
to
see
me,
it now,
man?
Craig? Hurricane Rosalind.
All right,
I've
Hurricane
never.
Rosalind made landfall in which country this week? Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, or Mexico? I think it's Mexico.
I agree, Mexico. Because if it were anywhere else, it would be coming to the United States. But I
Hurricane
think it came
Rosalind
in
for
from the Pacific.
Mexico. Yes, flooded roads, damaged buildings along Mexico's Pacific coast with sustained winds of 120 miles an hour.
Yep,
Yikes.
that's a big.
All right. This was one of our contextual clues. Which holiday was celebrated this week? Yom Kippur, Dia de los
Dave
Muertos.
spoiled it.
This week, but it's Diwali.
It is Diwali.
Diwali is one of the most important festivals in Hinduism. It began
Yep.
this week with colorful customs and celebrations. The holiday also has significance to Sikhs and Jains and is celebrated not just in India, but Nepal, Malaysia, Singapore, and other countries with
What is
South
the
Asian
most
diasporas.
what is the most obscene thing that's been said on television that references this holiday?
Oh, I got
Diwali,
no.
I think you've been a little hard on the beaver.
Oh,
Sorry.
Dan. Oh, Dan. We'll just move on from that one. Question number 4. Who became the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom this week? Boris Johnson, Penny Mordaunt, Rishi Sunak, or Suella Braverman?
Hey, we know it's Rishi.
It is Rishi.
He also makes those mushrooms. No, okay, I'm just kidding.
What?
There's a type of mushroom that homesteaders will grow really good that has antibiotic properties called reishi mushrooms.
Oh, nice. So Sunak officially took over as Britain's Prime Minister, becoming the country's third leader in 7 weeks. Nice.
Wow.
All right. There's your backwards. Yeah. What
So that's
percentage of
it.
Ukraine's wind energy infrastructure has been destroyed during its war with Russia? 30%, 70%, 50%, or 90%?
That stuff is super fragile.
Yeah.
But I have no idea. So I would guess 50%, but I don't know. It could be high. AJ, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking 50 when you said it because I'm looking at the background.
Right, those
I'm like,
all seem fine. So
are they broken or so
I mean,
Do we have
50%?
anybody on Facebook or YouTube with a
yeah,
guess?
see if anybody knows. I mean, it's interesting because we know that there have been a lot of attacks on energy infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so how much of like things that were disabling power are disabling the wind? Oh, Dave Eckert says 90. I want to go with Dave.
Oh no. Well,
Yeah, I
he does
wouldn't be
seem very
surprised.
rather
I wouldn't be
knowledgeable.
surprised if it's 90
Wouldn't
because of
surprise me.
the.
I agree.
Yeah.
So easy.
Correct.
Nice
Hey.
job, Dave.
Way to go, Dave. More than 90% of the Ukraine's wind energy infrastructure has been destroyed due to Russian attacks, according to Ukrainian
Guys are
officials. Those things. Have you ever been near one of the blades on one of those things?
I have. There's a bunch of different sizes, but yes.
So when I was driving to the LNC meeting in Chicago a couple of years ago, we were in Indiana, and there was one. They're trying to take it over up the off ramp of off the highway there,
Oh yeah.
and they were stopped because there's no good way to turn that thing.
Yep.
Yep. And that thing was like all the way down the off ramp. It was that big.
Yeah, I have seen some of those things. And what's interesting is there is a part to that people don't understand, which is that they are not necessarily silent. but also they can have a pretty big impact on people who live in the shadow of them, because you get this light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And people don't, at least in the beginning, didn't think about the consequences of that. So, where my dad lives in Cape Cod, they're actually taking two big ones down because of the impact that they have uh, in terms of light and dark.
Yeah, yeah. Question number 6. Due to an increase in bots on its site, which platform said it's rolling out new features to help users spot fake accounts? LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or the Book of Face?
It's got to be Musk Twitter, right?
That's been the big concern.
Twitter Musk.
Yeah, the chief twit.
I mean, how, does the picture give us any context?
It's blue. It could
It's
be
people
Twitter or
blue.
Facebook.
Yep. I mean, it could be
I'll
LinkedIn
say
too, but
Yeah, that's true.
I still think it's Twitter. AJ, what do you think?
I think it's Twitter just because Twitter.
All right.
Twitter's a
Sorry,
hot
I
dumpster.
hate it.
Twitter was a hot dumpster fire before Elon Musk took over. We'll get into it about how it's going early on, but
All right.
oh no, it's LinkedIn.
Wow.
Now,
Yeah.
LinkedIn is probably one of my least favorite sites.
Even though
Social
we
media
see really good people using it, Dave, we're not
Yes.
complaining about you.
No, we're not complaining about Dave.
Yeah.
No, LinkedIn.
Oh, it's
LinkedIn
not
is
bad.
kind of
I
like
like it.
it's amateur TED Talk hour. Like people post on there, like they're trying to get onto TED Talk, and it's awful.
And see, I
Mm.
like ignore all that stuff. I see people posting on Facebook. I generally think, why? Now, I mean, people listing stuff on their resume, things like that. Like it's the I mean, like I list my patents there. Where else am I going to list those things? But other than that, other than job hunting and connecting with people, I don't know what LinkedIn is
Dave
good
rocks.
for. Dave's okay, good. Especially too, like I mean, the one thing that I do like about it is there've been a couple occasions where I've wanted to get a job at another company, and I look to see if I have any connections there, or if I have any one removed connections there, and that's a nice thing to have to do.
Yeah,
But other than that, you know,
it has it has its uses. A semi decent job search functionality. Um, I would rather look for a job on LinkedIn than say Facebook Marketplace or something like that.
I
So
will say, don't friggin' list that you are looking for work on LinkedIn unless you really want to be bombarded with job offers.
yeah,
Man, I did that once. I'm still getting cold calls like 5 years later.
yeah, I get. Uh, for me, mostly it's contractors reaching out, government contractors reaching out, trying to plug me. So, which late Supreme Court justice will be featured on a new U.S. postage stamp in 2023? Antonin Scalia, William Rehnquist, Robert Jackson, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
The notorious RBG. I want to give a shout out to Patty, who is one of those hardworking IT people as well.
Hey, Patty, how you doing? Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
oh, and
it's,
Patty's in your home state of New Mexico, Dave.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you know Patty.
absolutely. Oh yeah,
All right, we just met, so
Patty's awesome.
I believed it. Very competent in conversation. I agree with AJ, the notorious RBG.
I thought there used to be a rule with postage stamps and other things that there had to be like 10 years from the time that they had passed, but it makes the most
I
sense out
mean,
of current
it's
administration.
not going to be Scalia,
No,
right?
it'd be Rehnquist would probably be the most.
Rehnquist was the Supreme Court, right?
He was
He was Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. Yeah,
Um, I don't even know who Robert Jackson is.
I don't either.
I think that that's a trick question. Not a member of the Supreme Court, member of the Jackson Five. Tito, Jermaine,
Robert,
Michael,
Justice,
Robert. Thank
Justice
you.
Robert.
Justice, right? Exactly.
Let's go with Ruth.
But
So we'll go with RBG.
yeah, RBG sounds right. Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
there she is. It's a forever stamp, which means it's forever increasing.
forever until my last. Sorry, I'll stop. Just sing a little kiss.
There you go. Question number 8. Which company announces shutting down its efforts to develop self-driving cars? Tesla, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, or Toyota?
I think it's Ford, but I don't know. Might be Toyota.
Oh, what does the audience think? 'Cause
Yeah, I have no idea. AJ, do you know?
Um,
AJ,
I'm gonna say Ford.
would you buy a self-driving car?
No.
Oh,
I don't
I'm
even
too
like
lazy.
riding in the car with other human beings. I'm not gonna trust a machine.
well, but that's what's nice about it is that you don't have to have other human beings to drive.
Oh, Dave
Or
I'm not
Eckert
gonna
says
trust them
Tesla.
not to hack into my stuff though. I've met people. I was involved in a political party, you may know.
fair. I mean,
I
that's
don't trust
fair, but
those people.
I like the ability for me to like when I'm stuck in traffic, just and wake up like when I'm driving faster than 20 miles an hour again. That would be awesome.
Well, like, do you commute?
No, not anymore.
I don't commute. So, like, I don't mind driving.
Oh, but I
Plus,
mean, what I
I
did,
know that I'm going to be able to maintain it.
I
see,
just
I,
want a
I
flying car.
I used to drive in terrible traffic. Boston, it took me 90 minutes to get into work. It was a 12-mile drive,
Say it
and that
again.
was terrible.
Austin.
'Awful.
2.5 hour commute for me going from
Exactly.
West Virginia to I
Now,
honestly, I don't want a self-driving car. I want a flying car,
can you?
self-flying car.
What are your train options, Dave?
There is the MARC train that rides out of Martinsburg, so it's a 20-minute ride down to the train station, and then the train is incredibly slow, especially in summer when there's heat restrictions on the track. So it can take about 3 hours to get to Martinsburg,
Screw
or
that.
in. What I do now for commuting is I can drive up to to Hagerstown,
Yep.
catch a commuter bus into the last metro station,
That's the Silver
and
Line one.
then no, into the Red Line at Shady Grove, and
Gotcha.
then take the Shady Grove into Farragut North. Now,
For people,
again, it's 2.5 hours. It doesn't really matter which way you go. So
yeah, just to be clear, people are saying Shady Grove, not Shitty Grove. Um, what
could make the argument either way.
will the Silver Line be an option for you at some point?
No, I mean the first thing the Silver Line is never going to happen. Like,
Wow.
all the way out to Dulles is what they're telling you. Well, actually out towards, Leesburg.
Well, for
Uh,
sure they're going to go to Dulles, right? I mean, they have to,
you would hope, you would think,
right?
you would have thought that with all the downtime they had
COVID.
with COVID, they could have
Yep.
built this thing because they were supposed to go out to Dulles by,
Yep.
2019, I think. It
Yep.
was before the pandemic. They were supposed to be all the way out to Dulles.
Yep.
That is one of the closest things we have to everlasting life on this planet is the Silver Line project.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. All right.
I don't know.
Fair. I want to go with Dave. He says Tesla. That seems right. Because honestly, it
I
is
know
something.
Tesla's been doing self-driving.
Well, but it says shutting down, so it
Yeah.
has to be somebody who was doing it, and
Oh,
it was Ford. Dave.
Dave!
All right. Yeah.
You're still good, Dave. We love you.
Yeah. $2.7 billion to walk away. I consider that a cheap thing because I mean the right thing to do is you want to contract it with somebody else.
Yeah.
That's a microsystem if I ever heard of one.
Well, let Tesla do all the development and then just sweep up the back end. I mean, that's the way to do it.
Well,
Um,
I've heard too that there's a talk now of guided roads as opposed to just self-driving cars, where the roads will tell the cars where they're supposed to go and what they're supposed to do, and they'll have sensors on them, stuff like that.
so Virginia is experimenting with the ability to, well, the regulating the speed limit. So changing speed limit signs where there's when they know high traffic times, they're reducing the speed so that people go slower, supposed to go slower, uh, to kind of space out the traffic a little better. And they
Yep.
said it's reduced accidents. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see when the data rolls out, but Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm slower speed, less accidents. Not shocking.
So I
Yeah.
guess my biggest problem with self-driving cars is the software has to be updated, right? And there's people like me that will like delay the software update on things because, oh, I don't have time to shut that down right now and blah, 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 blah. So,
I
I
mean,
mean, there's people that are driving around without car insurance and whatnot as well. Tail lights that don't work. The people that don't keep up the maintenance on self-driving cars, those are the ones that worry me.
yeah, I mean, if you were to live in a state that didn't have car inspection, which I think is 20 odd states, but it's kind of like your browser, right? Uh, they can stop you from doing anything if you don't update your browser. They don't, but there is what is the software? There's some software that I use that unless it's up to date, it won't let me do anything else.
well,
So
I
it would be
mean,
hard to do that.
you can get to a point where
But
maybe
also,
your vehicle becomes obsolete. Maybe that's one thing that keeps the consumerism of this whole thing going is that your car becomes obsolete and you can't update to the newest software and you have to
well,
go to the newest car.
I'll say I don't like that. If it's
Mhm.
defective not by design, where they make it like your phone, where they could make it last 20 years, but they make it wear out in 2.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would bother me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
But I think if they put automated cars on the market fairly, uh, most people will get them.
Yep.
Fairly. I like that.
All right. Question number 9. Former Defense Secretary Ash Carter died at 68 this week. His family said, which president did he serve under? I want to say this was recent. Like he was like Donald Trump.
I have no
But
idea.
it's Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump.
I mean,
Oh.
Bush's secretary was Rumsfeld,
Yeah.
right? So we know that.
Well, no,
Obama,
H.W. Bush. Yeah, yeah, it was Rumsfeld. That's right.
yeah. Obama. I mean,
Obama.
I'm pretty sure they're listing them in order here. Obama was I don't know. I don't know. I would guess I'm going to guess Obama, but I'm impressed that I don't know. Could easily be Bill Clinton. I
I
don't
think
think
it's
Donald Trump.
at
You think Trump?
60. At 68, he's not too far away from retirement age
No, it's true. I mean, 68 is young.
as a general.
So yeah,
I don't know if he was a general or not, but 68 years old. I want to say it was fairly.
good
Yeah,
job.
Bill Cohen was Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I think it's Obama just because I think Trump's.
All
But
right.
AJ, what do you think?
I was gonna say Obama.
Yeah.
But also like 68 isn't young in most positions except the government. Have y'all noticed that? Just a side note. Anyway.
Well, I mean this is a
Correct.
go right.
Yay!
Yeah, see, this is an end of career thing, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't get it unless you were pretty senior.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Our favorite, whatever he is.
Wow.
Corporate America is
It's
canceling
yay.
Kanye West, or Ye, as he wants to be known now, among the
No,
companies that
legally.
cut. Yeah, he is legally. This is true.
Mhm.
Um, cut ties with the rapper. Which one cost him the most money and his status as a billionaire? Gap, Balenciaga, Adidas, or Peloton?
All day
Adidas.
I dream about sports.
That's right. 1.5
Easy.
billion net worth. Yeah, 400 million. Ouch. That is a fisting.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that is the finding out phase of fuck around and find out.
all right.
Yeah.
All
Love
right.
it.
So we
So how
got
we do?
8 out of 10. We got a B.
That's not bad.
Not
But
bad.
I did all right.
all right, what are our topics? We got a few, right?
Yeah. So, hold on a second. Oh, breaking news. Let me get rid of the
News
sharing.
Broken.
The news is broken.
Morning
There
has
has been
broken.
a change in leadership in the country of Brazil. former President Lula da Silva, Ignacio Lula da Silva, defeated the incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. Very, very close election. I think it was like 50.8 to 49.2.
Yep.
And there's already it's already sounding like Bolsonaro, who has been called the
The Trump of
Brazilian
Brazil.
Trump,
Yep.
that he's going to go full Trump. There's
Well,
going to be like a January 6th thing happening.
yeah.
He's already, casting doubt on the validity of the vote, even though there was lots of reports leading up to or during the election today where um, the federal police were pulling over people in De Silva strongholds um, that were
Preventing
going
them
to
from
vote, like
voting.
these busloads of voters going to vote. They pull them over and detain them for a few hours, preventing them from going to vote. Um, Still, Lula da Silva has won. Again, this is like porn. There are no good actors involved in this election. Um,
Anna James
Lula.
does not agree with you. But it's clear that that level of nationalism has a cap in terms of support. But hopefully, what we're seeing is that when rational people get inspired, they can stand up and defeat it. But this was a close election.
It was a very close election. In many ways, the situation in Brazil mirrors what's going on in the United States with the closeness of the election. Um, it feels like a lot of countries are now just polarized. Like, we saw Italy was a very close election. I think Sweden was a very close election as well. I think we're it, to me, I said this last week that I feel like we're kind of in that interwar period where things are really starting to break down and people are really just pairing off into corners. And it feels like we're in a tinderbox situation where anything at any
Yep.
time could really, really set things off, whether
It's
it's in Brazil, whether it's here in the United States, whether it's in Europe. I mean, Europe historically has been where the bad stuff goes down and we all get dragged in, but it could happen anywhere now.
I think they put it perfectly right that it's an explosive situation and we're sort of living on the edge. And the problem is one that we all recognize. Government has so much power that people are willing to fight for it. And the only solution is to depower government.
Yeah.
Nothing else will work. Increasing the power of government will not fix this problem because more people will fight to have control of government and they will fight harder than they've ever fought. We thought that it was bad, but it keeps escalating as government power escalates. People's desire to fight, to take control of it, to be authoritarian. The only solution to this problem is shrinking the size of government.
Yeah. I mean, we've had this conversation many times about shrinking the size of government and making instead of having a government so big that it doesn't matter who's in power to have a government that's so small that it doesn't matter who's in power. It's I don't know. I don't know that this resolves itself. I mean, I've always had you know, people have said you should follow Bernie or some of these progressives that talk about the issues. And to me, I always tell people that Bernie finds the right issues. Like he identifies the right problems. His solutions suck. You
But
know, his
it's
solution
also
is more of the same. More government will fix it, and
but
it just never has.
and Bernie and his ilk, and I mean, I like Bernie Sanders. I like his vision for of a world where we're all happy and taken care of and stuff like that. I don't like his means for getting there, but he has no perception of the fact that the authoritarian rule that he is proposing is what leads to this radical opposition on the other side. Okay. Bernie
Exactly.
doesn't want to say, oh, yeah, I caused Trump, but he did.
Yeah, I mean, he did to an extent. Actually, I mean, I would put the blame more on. Hillary Clinton and people in the media that just fluffed Trump for months and months and months, wanting him, and it's the lesson they haven't learned this election is fluffing Trump for months and months and months going up into the primaries for the Republicans, and then being surprised that he's hovering at 30% and none of the Republicans dropping out. But they
Right.
propped him up. I mean, when he hopped into the race, he was only at 1%, had to buy an audience to go see his announcement speech. I mean,
Right.
that's how pathetic Trump was at the beginning, but they fluffed him. And then they're doing the same thing this election with these nutter Republican candidates that they've
Yeah.
been giving money to, like JD Vance and
Exactly.
people like that. We're gonna get people in the Congress that are just as bad as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt
Yep.
Gaetz. I mean, it's
It is super crazy because the problem is, right, because the parties are not, we've said this before, the parties, the RNC, the DNC, and the LNC are all corporations. Okay. And they are corporations that sell a product. The product that they sell is elections. All they really care about is winning, being able to sell elections to their consumers who are political candidates who pay millions and billions of dollars to compete in the American election cycle. The political parties, the political pundits, political operatives are all competing to serve the political candidates who are paying exorbitant amounts of money. What was it? It was over $1 billion in the last presidential election. Just those two candidates. There are
well,
400.
Hillary had $2 billion in her election campaign.
Did she?
She still lost.
I thought her total spending was $600 million, but I could be mistaken.
Well, I think she gave quite a bit to other candidates and
You're saying she
dark
raised
money and
possibly. Yeah, right. And of course, there's dark money and all that other stuff. But
yeah.
here's the thing: there are 450,000 elected officials in the United States. So think how much money that means is being spent on campaigns. Now, some of those are school board, so people are maybe spending $1,000. But, some of them are state rep races where people are spending ridiculous amounts of money.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's the business. And, as Calvin Coolidge said, and I quote, I think on every episode of the show, right? The business of America is business. Americans were awesome at knowing how to do things, how to sell things. And so we have figured out the most efficient way to sell elections. Sadly, that is terrible for the country. It is terrible for the people. And so what we have to do is make it not worthwhile. Make it so that the election isn't worth the money that you spend to buy it. What is McGuana?
Is it McGuano? Is Pinky McGuano is guano is a term for batshit.
That's guano ending with an O.
But that's fine.
Sorry. I would have gotten it otherwise.
But that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Did you know that that actually being exposed to it causes mental illness? The phrase batshit crazy is specifically referencing the fact that being around batshit makes you crazy.
Bird
sure
shit in
did with
general,
me.
histoplasmosis.
There we go.
She sure did with me. Kind of piggybacking on the whole tinderbox thing, we had a weird story this week that the husband of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, was attacked inside his own home. Apparently, the attacker was saying, "Where is Nancy?" Hit the Paul Pelosi over the head with a hammer, apparently fracturing his skull and damaging his hand. It seems like the crazies are getting bolder.
I want to say two things. Terrible, shouldn't happen. Violence is always wrong. Violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. But there is something missing out of this story because there was another person in the house, and it was reported all over the place in the beginning
Yeah.
that somebody else opened the door to let the police in. And now that information is going away, and in fact, the San Francisco police recently issued a thing saying, "Oh no, it was a mistake. It wasn't what we said."
You
So,
know what? I think she was out of town,
yep.
and it was another woman doing
Thanks,
that.
Dave.
Thanks,
Okay.
Dave. Appreciate it. We're gonna stop here soon, but it's a weird story. But you would have thought that immediately after before all this stuff comes out and everybody questions it, that perhaps they would have backed off on these anti-Pelosi ads. But like all over the DC area, Abigail Sparrenberger, who's running for Congress, who's the current sitting congresswoman for one of the Northern Virginia districts. Um, every ad that I saw on the news that night was an ad linking her directly to Nancy Pelosi. And of course, the way that the ads are done now, it made her look like the devil incarnate. And I'm not a fan of Nancy Pelosi by any stretch of the matter, but you would think that, hey, for a couple days, let's back off on the demonized Nancy mantra. We still got plenty of time before the election.
Yep.
Just a little respect, but there's no respect at all
No.
in
Well, because
politics anymore.
so what's interesting about it is because it ties back to the whole thing we talked about with the political parties being corporations. Corporations were formed specifically to move morality out of business decisions because shareholders don't want that. They want to be absolved of their moral obligation. And
Sure.
so here you have these corporations that are absolving themselves of their responsibility of being humane and human by saying, "Oh, well, that's the party. That's what we do is we run elections." And, we're not stopping that. We're not considering the human element. Ooh, I just saw we got a comment from Chuck Moulton,
Yeah.
really one of my favorite people. What's up, Chuck?
Go on, Chuck. Yeah, it just feels again with as polarized as we are, as at each other's throats when it comes to these elections because we siloed ourselves into these little nice Elvis imitation. That was awesome. that we've siloed ourselves into these. I only talk to Republicans, I only talk to Democrats, I only talk to libertarians. That again, the smallest thing is going to set us off. Well, and it feels like if not this election, it's very late in the game, but before 24, not that I would want this to be on any betting market, but I would bet that there is going to be a politician that comes to severe harm, including death.
Well, and we were there before, right? And
Oh yeah,
people
we've been there
don't
before.
remember the end of the 60s was incredibly violent with assassinations all over the place.
Yep.
Um, we've gotten somewhat better at that, but I do feel like we are leading to that again. And it's going to be unfortunate because, well, it's going to be unfortunate. I don't want to see that happen.
No.
This only solution is ending the power of government. And I think that that's too far for people to understand. And so the way that we're going to get a less powerful government is to decentralize. And I think that would still be better, but I don't know.
Yeah. And we got to learn to talk to each other again. Get out of your echo chambers and go talk to your neighbor who
And
may
press
have the
the
burning
subscribe
sign.
button and
Yeah,
share the link for this show with your friends.
yeah.
Yes. Do that.
Get out of your echo chamber. Talk to new people. Talk to people who that do not share your same values, and you're going to find out that their hopes and dreams are pretty much the same as yours.
Yep.
And you're not. Your political parties are telling you to be enemies, but you shouldn't be. So, speaking of political parties and enemies and all that stuff, join us on Tuesday night, November 8th at 7 p.m. for the Political Deep Dive Election Special. We'll be talking about all of the fun stuff that is going on that night. Uh, Joining us as the results start rolling in. We do have the Pirate Party has said that they're going to have a representative come hang out with us for a little bit. And we will have reached out to Keystone as well, and some other third party groups to see if they'll join us. But yeah, we'll be looking at the national results and see how everything shakes out. So hope to see everybody on the 8th. We got one more show before that. If you're a candidate running for office and want to come on, feel free to reach out to me. We'll probably be doing political predictions next week, talking about who we think is going to win and who's going to be the new bosses in town.
So Chris Crawford is polling at 37% in Massachusetts, ahead of every Republican on the ballot.
Nice. That's
Yep.
the
That's the
comptroller?
Libertarian running for treasurer.
treasurer.
Yep.
Excellent.
Very exciting.
Excellent. How's the guy in Maryland doing?
In the end, he got denied debate access. In spite of being promised it by the
Shocking.
League of Women Voters, Maryland Public Television blocked him from being on the air, which is crazy. So I don't know what the numbers are going to be. We think it's going to be like 6%, but hopefully more.
Hmm.
God,
Have y'all
Yeah.
voted? Have you voted?
I have voted.
I'm going to go vote sometime this week. Just pop out and vote.
Okay.
I'm not too worried. I've got election day off, so even if I don't do it this week, then
there
I
you
can
go.
roll down. If you are a voter, go down at 10 o'clock, between 10 o'clock and 11. You'll walk in, vote, walk right out. Same with about
Yeah.
1,
I got to call it a little white privilege there.
1:30. After that.
Yeah, that ain't true if you're in Houston or
Oh, sure. Where they
Atlanta.
intentionally reduced it, but those are the best times to go vote. Is
they are.
you know,
But if
mid-morning.
you have the opportunity to vote early, please vote early.
Yes.
Absolutely. I vote early as often as possible because I don't like standing in line.
Nice.
Yeah. Do not
Early
show
and
up at. Not that they can deny you, but do not show up 10 minutes before the polls close and expect to get out of there anytime within a couple hours. So,
Hmm.
that's just the reality of it. But get out there and vote early and often. Yeah, if
Time.
I wouldn't put that out there, but but yeah, literally, definitely. So, thanks everyone for watching this week, and we will talk to everyone in a week. See you, everybody.
Yeah, guys.